So first we start reading the text, or I am so tempted to read this one, because we are talking about impermanence and death. I wanted to read this one. If we have another session tomorrow, then we have time. So I want to read this one. "12 life lessons from a man who has seen 12,000 deaths." 12 life lessons from a man who has seen 12,000 deaths. Not in a conflict or war, but he is caretaker of people who are dying, in Kashi and Ganga and things like that. So this is the story of that gentleman. So you just listen carefully. I'm tempted to read the whole thing. Listen carefully. It will be very, very interesting. And you can actually download this one. Download this one. 12 life lessons from a man who has seen 12,000 deaths. It's very interesting. So I'll read that. Rooted in the hearts of many Hindus is the belief that if you breathe your last in Kashi, that's Varanasi, you attain what is popularly known as Kashi Labh, or fruit of Kashi. That means you will achieve moksha, or release from the cycle of rebirth, impelled by the law of karma. That's their belief. That's their belief. So like for example, Ganga, I went there. Every day maybe they deal with the dead body of 350 on average. So people every day, believe me, right? So this is the same story with this Kashi thing. Don't close it completely, just leave it like that, so that if somebody comes, opens, doesn't disturb us. So Kashi, then there is a Bhavan, which is a house. Kashi Labh Mukti Bhavan in Varanasi is one of the 3 guest houses in the city where people check in to die. Check in to die. So what they are doing, that's very interesting. The other 2 are Mumukshu Bhavan and Ganga Labh Bhavan. Established in 1980, Mukti Bhavan is well known within the city and outside. Now the caretaker, this elderly man, Bhairav Nath Shugla, has been the manager of Mukti Bhavan for 44 years. He has seen the rich and the poor take refuge in the guest house in their final days, as they await death and hope to find peace. Shugla hopes with them and for them. He sits on the wooden bench in the courtyard against the red brick wall and shares with me 12 recurring life lessons. Everybody who comes there, what is their last wish? 12 recurring life lessons from the 12,000 deaths he has witnessed in his experience as the manager of Mukti Bhavan. So what are these 12? The first one is, resolve all conflicts before you go. That means before you die, resolve all conflicts. Right? So that means, and he tells just one story of one person, and this applies to many of us. Shugla recounts the story of Sri Ramnagar Mishra, a Sanskrit scholar of his times. Mishra was the eldest of 6 brothers and was closest to the youngest one. Years ago, an ugly argument between the 2 brothers led to a wall to partition the house, which happens with many of us. But in his final days, Mishra walked to the guest house carrying his little pan case, and asked to keep room number 3 reserved for him, because he knew that my end is approaching. So he came there and said, reserve room number 3 for me. He was sure he will pass away on the 16th day from his arrival. Some people are very sure. Most of us are not sure. On the 14th day, he said, ask my estranged brother of 40 years to come and see me. And the reason he said, this bitterness make my heart heavy I cannot die with this bitterness in the heart. I'm anxious to resolve every conflict. Why this is happening? Because this is the way things are. So what I want to tell you is, resolve conflict not at the last minute, but much in advance. Don't have any conflict, enmity, hatred. Fighting, yes, sometimes happen. Using harsh words sometimes happen. But don't keep it in your mind. If you keep ill will, hatred in your mind, who will get harmed? Yourself, nobody else. If I keep ill will, hatred to the Chinese leaders, they have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm suffering here. This might even lead to cancer, you see. Right? So if some conflict, some fighting, over petty issues happen, then just be over with that fight and then let on say sorry. But the interesting thing is, if you must have noticed that this is why we say that human mind is predominantly controlled by negative emotions. If somebody has been my very close friend for the last 30 years, not just friend, very close friend, but this morning over the breakfast, we had little quarrel, 5 minutes quarrel, right? Then the interesting and strange thing is, you remember that 5 minutes quarrel and don't remember that 30 years long friendship. And because of this quarrel, 5 minutes quarrel, then we decide to part our ways, and then we decide not to see each other, not to speak each other. Horrible, right? But the desired thing is that having had that 5 minutes quarrel, you should have that gut, should have that courage to go to that friend and say, just hug him, touch his hand. If you need to cry, cry. It may be your mistake, it may be my mistake, but please forgive me. We have been like one person for the last 30 years, but what happened this morning was an ugly thing, If you are able to do that, you are really, really brave man, honest, important, you're an intelligent man. Then your friendship will be stronger. But how many of us are able to do that? This is just one almost like classic example. Because if you do that, then our ordinary understanding is, if I do that, then people will think, I am the one who made the mistake. I am the loser, Actually, you're not the loser, stupid fellow. You're the winner. You're the winner, you see. So even if you're unable to do that, at least don't keep that ill will, you see, with you. Think from some positive perspective, and seek for an opportunity to talk to that person. Because honestly speaking, there is not such a big issue which we cannot compromise. Most of the time it's over small, very silly issues. And I myself, I'm not good in that, but I myself try to do that. Sometimes I get like, because of the work and other things, you may have to be a little bit tough, And to be a Buddhist practitioner doesn't mean that you become silly and stupid and let everybody sit on your head, Yeah, I'm practicing compassion, yeah. Sit on my head. That's why we need both wisdom and heart. Wisdom, heart should be there. Compassion should be there to everyone. But when you should apply it, how to apply it, that is judged by wisdom. So depending upon the situation. But one thing that I learned while working with His Holiness and in his office, and in the spirit of Buddhist teaching, I hope, is be compassionate and firm wherever it is needed. Be compassionate, but doesn't mean that you make yourself vulnerable. Right? Use your sense, use your judgment, use your sense of discrimination, and be firm and strong whenever it is needed. Right? Right? So, therefore, it is really, really important. Number one, not to let these negative emotions arise. If it happens, then what you need to do, remember this one very carefully. When it comes to doing something good, then the Buddhist teaching says it should be remembered, if possible forever, or much, much longer time. It should be like a carving on a stone. Even if the stone breaks, still the lines, the drawings will be there, the carving will be there in terms of virtuous practice. Even if you are unable to do that, at least it should be drawing on the sand or ground or earth, so that at least it will stay for some time. It should not be like drawing on water. As soon as you draw, it disappears. In the case of negative emotions, it should be the reverse. As soon as you get angry, things like that, then don't keep it in your mind. It should be like drawing on water. Finish, forget it. It was a bad dream. You are now awake. So why you keep on remembering that dream, right? And if that is not possible, at least like the drawing on the sand or earth, but not like carving on a stone. There are people like who had some misunderstanding, fight with somebody, then keep on remembering that. Oh my God. That will only torture you, not the other person. So for your own purpose and benefit, right? So, ask my estranged brother of 40 years to come to see me. This bitterness makes my heart heavy. I'm anxious to resolve every conflict. It's human nature, you don't want to go with some conflict, some misunderstanding, things like that, you see. And if you want to do something good, you really want to do it. If there is an opportunity just before your death. And I personally had encountered somebody doing good things. So there's no need to tell all the stories. So a letter was sent out. On the 16th day, when the youngest brother arrived, no, this is very touching. When the youngest brother arrived, Mishra held his hand and asked to bring down the wall, the partition, dividing the house. He asked his brother for forgiveness, very touching. Both brothers wept, and mid-sentence, they wept, and they were like talking a little bit. Before finishing that sentence, Mishra stopped speaking. His face became calm. He was gone in a moment, happily. There's no bitterness now, right? So this is good, but we should not have this kind of bitterness, first of all. Because you cannot make big conclusions, positive conclusions, or bring about great transformation just at the latest moment. What kind of death or what kind of experience or suffering you are going to face depends on how you have lived your life, not what you do at the last moment. But even then, this is very good. So this is just one example out of this, so many people, that he saw dying. So Shukla has seen this story, this is one story, seen this story replay in the case of many people, in many forms over the years. It will happen to all of us. This is what actually is happening with all these people who are dying. People carry so much baggage when we are alive, so much baggage, right? And it was so comforting to me when I started flying, and then sometimes, you are overweight, then say, sorry sir, excess baggage, you have to pay for it, you see. So in our ordinary life also, the Buddha said this long time back, that don't be greedy, don't have too much attachment, don't accumulate so many things, these are excess baggage, you can't take these things with you. What is really good is you accumulate the positive qualities within yourself, not the just external material things, How many times the Buddha had said it? But in our case, we are so fond of collecting that excess baggage, and we are charged everywhere. TV is watching, the robbers are chasing, the burglars are chasing, And then at the airport, sorry, excess baggage. Right? So people carry so much baggage. And shall I make a joke with my Tibetan friends? This is maybe not absolutely true, maybe true with everybody, but with Tibetans, generally speaking, now the young people maybe, normally when we travel, we have a bag, most of the time it's completely full. And you have difficulty, putting the zip or the button, whatever, completely full. And then you start from this destination and we stop at the last destination, no stop in between. Right? So if the bag is not completely full, there are some spaces, then it's easy. If you need to put something new or take out something, it's easy, but we pack it so tightly, excess baggage. And because sometimes we may need it, but most of the time we don't plan. Just you think, I'll need this. And this stupid mind, greedy mind always says, I need it. And I have that experience. I travel a lot. I make that plan, but still, very often, why did I bring this extra, shawl or extra shoes? Why did I bring? You see, you realize that, and then some important things you missed. So planning for this life, for your travel, for the future life, planning is important. So people carry so much baggage unnecessarily. He says unnecessarily, all through their life, only wanting to drop it at the very end of their journey. Collect, only to leave it behind. Right? The trick lies not in not having conflict, first of all, but in resolving them as soon as one can. The trick lies not in not having conflict. Conflict arises. The best is not to have conflict. But even if you have conflict, some disagreement, some fighting, but resolve it. Don't maintain enmity, says Shukla, number one. Number two, simplicity is the truth of life. Simple living, high thinking, as we say. This is just for the sake of saying we say simple living, high thinking. But we are not simple. We lead a very complicated life. So what happens, whether this is useful or not? If you don't believe right now, then when you are dying, then you think about living a simple life. People stop eating indulgent food when they know they are going to die. Otherwise, you need this, you need khata mita, everything. All kinds of things are now produced from the market. Heaven knows from what they are made of. We have really no idea. They mix these two, put different color. Now vegetables, fruits, many of them are now colored, dyed, to give you image of freshness. Recently, I watched a documentary where this very poor villager, he says, "Kya karun sir, karna padta hai. I'm helpless, I have to do this, I'm not able to sell my vegetable," you see. So they do that. And then the apples, even the apples that you buy in America and Europe, they are covered with candles or something like that. So some grease or something which you can really peel out. So very risky, very risky. But, so on the one hand, this kind of things are produced. On the other hand, we are so stupid, we keep on buying whatever is coming in the market. Right? But when you know you are going to die, then you don't worry about, luxurious food. Eating from a 5-star hotel. Then I don't need much, I just need very simple thing. People stop eating indulgent food when they know they are going to die. The understanding that dawns on many people in their final days, only at the final days. Wisdom comes only at a very late period of the life, not in the beginning. Is that they should have lived a simple life. That is the wisdom they get. Why the hell I have been doing all this? Why have I worked so hard, when I can't take anything, Then you realize, but it's too late then. They regret that most, says Shukla. I should have lived a very simple life. Because if you live this very intelligent, luxurious life, then you are compelled to adopt all kind of shortcuts for success. That's what we do. Cheating, corruption, exploitation, all this. Then at the end of the day, you regret. I have adopted all these false means, but what is it that I'm now taking with me? You regret, you see. Simpler life is not so much about you live a simple life, you might die tomorrow, not just that. Even when we are alive, if you live a simple life, you will have always more money and other things which you really can carry and use whenever it is needed. And you can also travel very easily, right? A simple life, as he explains, can be attained by spending less, number one. If you spend too much and buy too much, you lose your money, you start collecting all the junks in your house. We spend more to accumulate more and thus create more need. To find contentment in less is the secret to having more. Number three, filter out people's bad traits. Shukla maintains that every person has shades of good and bad. Whoever they are, your friend, your enemy, they have good qualities, bad qualities. So don't just focus on the bad quality. And don't just think that this particular person has that bad quality, so he's outrightly a bad person. Don't get that image. Every person has shades of good and bad, but instead of dismissing bad people outrightly, we must seek out their good qualities. Harboring bitterness for certain people comes from concentrating on their negatives only. You see? Yesterday, as I said, love minimizes fault. That means your family members, you love them, therefore you don't see any bad things in there. It's not that they don't have it. With others, because you don't have the love, you maximizes their shortcomings and faults, which creates bitterness. If you focus on the good qualities, though, you spend that time getting to know them better or maybe even loving them. Number 4, be willing to seek help from others. I think that's also very important for us, the Tibetan youths. Because you are not self-sufficient, you are not self-content. There are so many things you can easily learn if you pull the courage to go and seek wisdom and learn from others' expertise. Otherwise, if you try to learn something just by your own effort, it may take a long, long time and you may not get it. So it's important to consult, the learner, the expert, and seek their help. To know and do everything by yourself might feel empowering, but it limits one from absorbing what others have learned. Shukla believes we must help others, but more importantly, have the courage to seek help when we are in need. That we also get connected to many people, right? Every person in the world knows more than us in some respect, and their knowledge can help us only if we are open to it, if you develop this receptivity. Be receptive to other people's wisdom, other people's knowledge. He recounts the incident of an old woman being admitted on a rainy day back in the 80s. The people who got her there left her without filling the inquiry form. You got it? A few hours later, the police came to trace the relatives of the old lady, who they said were runaway Naxalites. Very interesting story. Shukla pretended, the caretaker, poor man, he pretended to not know nothing, and then the police left. When the lady's relatives, the runaway Naxalites, returned next morning, the Shukla asked the leader uninhabitedly, because Naxalites, they kill a lot of people, you see. Then said, he asked the leader uninhabitedly, when you can kill 500 people by yourself, why didn't you simply shoot your nanny and cremate her yourself? Why did you bring her here? He was upset, he was angry. What did you make me lie and feel ashamed? The grandson fell to his knees and pleaded for forgiveness, although he's a Naxalite, but in such a situation he fell to his knees and pleaded for forgiveness. saying no one amongst them is capable of helping his religious grandmother attain salvation, because they have all been engaging in all these destructive activities. But he respected that, and is the reason why he brought her to Mukti Bhavan. That's the only thing he can do, right? Number 5, find beauty in simple things. Okay, we talk about nirvana, liberation, which is not easy, but there's so many beautiful things that we experience in our life. Enjoy that, appreciate that. Mukti Bhavan plays soulful bhajans. He's not sitting there because he's caretaker of the dying people. He's not sitting there, sad, oh, another dead body will come, If he acts like that, he will never be able to achieve success in his professions. But so he tries to create that cheerfulness, sings bhajans, devotional songs 3 times a day. Now what happens? These people who come there to die, among them, some people, he says, whenever he sings these soulful bhajans, devotional songs, some people, they immediately, they may be walking or doing something, but as soon as they hear the bhajan and the devotional songs, they would immediately stop and admire a note or the sound of the instrument as if they have heard it before, as if they have never heard it before, even if they have. Did you get what I'm saying? They pause to appreciate it and find beauty in it. Did you get what I'm saying? This may be the same bhajan, same devotional song which you've heard 100. And people always sing this bhajan and devotional songs all the time, and other songs all the time. But the song is going on, but we are not listening. We are not listening. That's the problem. We never make progress. We always keep on seeing, but seeing what we want to see, not what we should be seeing. We are listening, but listening what we want to listen, not what we should be listening. Therefore, there's no change, no progress, no development. So even when you listen to a song, if you don't want to listen, don't put it on. It will not only not help you, but it will also disturb neighbors and things like that. But sometimes people live so funnily, probably to show they have a tape recorder or a television. Now these days everybody has television, everybody has a tape recorder. So if you want to listen it, to a volume or sound which you can hear, not disturb others. And if you are not in a mood to listen, don't even put it on. But if you put it on, listen carefully. Some of the songs are also very inspirational. It is also good for your brain and things like that. If you listen carefully, it strikes a note. There's a difference between just noise and song. Noise is just clatter of many things. There is no harmony, there's no rhythm. So it will not produce any positive effect. But if you listen to a song, which has this synchronicity, is different from a man who plays a guitar, who knows how to play a guitar, and the same guitar played by a monkey. The monkey can also produce sound, but that will not give you any music, right? So these songs, they produce beautiful melody or sounds or whatever. So it's also very healing. So what he is saying is, you call it meditation, you call it mindfulness, whatever you want to call it, be there. And I have met so many people, they seem to be watching a news there, BBC or CNN or Al Jazeera or whatever. I may be doing something else. Then afterwards I ask them, you've been listening to it, what was the news? Oh, something interesting. What interesting? Oh, very interesting. Good, nothing. The same thing happened. I asked many young people, not only young but elderly people also, but I always ask young people, not elderly people. They could listen to His Holiness teaching, 5, 6, 3, 7 days teaching. Then I say, was it good? How was the teaching? Oh, very good, very good. In what way it is good? Tell me few things that you really learned, inspired. Oh, very good, very good. Nothing. So that means you are really not listening properly to get something. That's why we never make progress. So it's very important to be fully present, whatever you're doing. If you're playing basketball, fully present there, how to use your hand, everything carefully. Then you will become an expert there, right? Whatever you are doing, be there. If you are there, you will become an expert. You will enjoy it. Time will go soon. That's how you spend your life. So that's what he's saying. Find beauty in simple things. Right. So at the last minute, when they're about to die, then they're concentrating. The same music, the same devotional song they have been listening so many times, now they're able to see the beauty in the note, rhythm of their songs. Right? But that is not true of everyone here. It's people who are, of course there are people who are always critical and proud. They are the ones who find it hard to find joy in small things. I've seen many people, those kind of people also. For example, if there are some people who are always critical, always like dismissive and always pessimistic. Once I was talking to somebody, I saw small Tibetan, kids wearing very beautiful frocks and looking very smart and clean, small 3-4 kids, and said, they're so sweet, so nice, looking so clean, their dresses are so good. Then this fellow said, no use, just wasting parents' money. I mean, what is the use to develop such a negative attitude, you see? So that's what he's saying. Rejoicing is one of the most important Buddhist practice. If you see others doing practice, rejoice, wonderful. If you see others doing good things, inspire that person, support that. Wow, wonderful, can I help you? Or at least refrain from saying bad things. But we do have, again, people who, if somebody is doing good, he is hoping for a promotion. All the negative things, How can you read other people's mind? And if somebody is doing a lot of prayer, practice, they'll say, you want to become a monk or a nun? Am I right? Sometimes, of course, you can play, but don't try to discourage others, especially among young people when most of them are, have a different, trend, not so much interested in, learning things. Then if you say things like that, some of them, they don't have that much courage, So then they try to hide themselves, they do it quietly, no. Why the hell you have to hide yourself when you're doing such a wonderful thing, Come out, come forward, encourage others, right? So those who are too critical, too proud are the ones who find it hard to find joy in small things because their minds are preoccupied with seemingly more important things. I cannot enjoy these small things. I am a practitioner, I am a monk, meditator, you see, and this is small worldly things, no use for me. Hypocrisy. If you can't enjoy small things, I am sure you will never be able to enjoy big things. Your realization may be big like a Buddha, but behave normally. One of the most important practice in the mind training is Dumba Jula Rangsor Cha. Change your attitude, but behave normally. But most of us do the other way around. Never change the attitude, change the furniture. If you're a Buddhist practitioner, then try to come up with, Tibetan Buddhist practitioner, then try to come up with some Tibetan trappings and thangas and images and things like that. Yourself, the same stupid fellow. We are fond of updating the external and trappings. How many times we have updated our mobile phone? How many times we have updated our iPad? But when was the last time when you updated yourself? Right? So updating oneself is most important. Look at His Holiness. There cannot be a person who is more spiritually advanced, realized, compassionate like His Holiness. But he's never pretending that I'm somebody special. Somebody says, God, nonsense. Avalokiteshvara, nonsense. I'm simple Buddhist monk. You see? And always laughing, smiling, playing with small kids, That is the real person. And many people ask me, Geshe, you walked with His Holiness for 16 years. What is the one thing that you admire him most? I said, His Holiness's quality and knowledge is like ocean, That is at least what we believe. So it's not fair for me to say anything. But one small thing that I've noticed is he never pretends that he is special. He lives like a normal human being. That is, I think, is his greatness. Right? So, enjoy small things. Ta ina yang nawa chipo da parla nor years dinge sure da. Nawa chipo da parla nor years. That means being happy and being stupid. There is a difference. Nawa chipo yin se ne tene chang thong khanjung mechung che tene nyokda na na se ti parla se nawa chipo se homa. You can enjoy without leading to negative emotions, without leading to destructive results. Sixth, acceptance is liberation. Then that means whatever is the situation, accept it. Don't pretend. Most people shirk away from accepting what they are going through. This constant denial breeds in them emotions that are highly dangerous. The so-called pent-up energy, your inside is boiling, but you just put the lid. It's just like a kettle with hot water on a fire. How long you think that lid can stop that? It will start moving like an engine of a train. You see. So it's important not to, hide. This constant denial breeds in them emotions that are highly dangerous. Only once you accept your situation is when you become. Only once you accept your situation is. Only once you accept. I don't know how to read this. You accept your situation is when you become free to decide what to do about it. That means if you accept, own it, discuss with your friends, not with everybody, but reliable friends and also who can give you good advice. But otherwise, no point, even to your friends, don't share your problems, difficulties, if that person himself, herself has no capacity to solve you, It will bother them, but they have no idea how to solve it. And then the others, if you share it, then they will not guide you properly. They will make a big issue out of it. So don't share. Share it with people or parents with whom you can trust. And then you should also, I have this problem, say it. It relieves you. The tension goes out. Then find a solution. You will always find a solution. If there's no solution, then what you should do? We already discussed this. If there's find a solution, don't worry because there's a solution. If there's no solution, why worry? Because by worrying, there will be no solution. You just say, go hell with you. I have so many other things to do, right? Without acceptance, you're always in the gray space. When you are not in denial of a problem, you have the strength to find a solution. Indifference, avoidance, and denial of a certain truth, Shukla believes, cause anxiety. They develop a fear of their thing in the person. Instead, accept the situation so you are free to think what you want to do about it and how. Acceptance will liberate you and empower you. 7. Accepting everyone as the same. Accepting everyone as the same, rich or poor, accepting everyone as same makes service easier in his own case. Rich people also come there to die. Poor people also come there to die. But he doesn't make any differentiation at that time. So serving them, he says, is very easy then if you don't make a differentiation. The secret to Shukla's unfazed dedication and determination towards his demanding job, there cannot be a job more demanding than that one. Demanding job can be understood via this life lesson. He admits that life would have been difficult if he treated people who admit themselves to Mukti Bhavan differently, based on their creed, caste, color, and social or economical status. Categorization leads to complication. He is high, he is low, rich, leads to complication. And one ends up serving no one well. The day you treat everyone the same is the day you breathe light and worry less about who might feel offended or not, because you are honest. So make your job easier. In our life also, you see, people are people, you see. When you find your purpose, do something about it. Number one, what is your purpose? What is the purpose of your life? What is the purpose of your life? Huh? Did we discuss this? What is the purpose of life?
To live a good life.
Huh? Happiness. Happiness. Purpose of life is happiness. Happiness means not hi, he, who, but happiness means genuine satisfaction. When you do something truthfully, honestly, sincerely, then there is genuine satisfaction. Then you have that genuine satisfaction is called happiness. Right? When you don't do anything truthfully, honestly, but do things just to get money, cheat and engage in corruption, things like that, you may become rich. Right? But there is no satisfaction because there is andar mein darar pad gaya. Because there is gap between what you say, what you do. Gap. Then you will have to lead what we call as split personality. Right? A lot of people, Shukla says, So the purpose of your human life is happiness, number one. But even otherwise, you have many other purposes. Do you have different purposes? Different objectives? If you have, you need to identify that. Number one, which one is your purpose? If having identified your purpose, it's enough to have a goal, but it's important to approach that goal. It's important to actualize that goal. Right? To have awareness about one's calling, whatever is your purpose, is great. That's good. If you have a purpose, if you have inner calling, that's good. But it's good only if you do something about it. Otherwise, you will be daydreaming. Vision, to have vision is important. To have purpose is important. But vision without action leads to nightmare. Many people ask me, Geshe, what is your next project? Do you have a vision? Yeah, I have so many visions, but I don't try to have too many visions, because visions without action leads to nightmare. Right? So action is very important. In Buddhism, we repeatedly talked about ignorance as the root cause of suffering, but in our ordinary life, much of the sufferings that we are experiencing are due to lack of action, inaction. बोलने से नहीं चलता, करने से होता है ना? Action. A lot of people, Shukla says, know their purpose but don't do anything about realizing it, making it come to life. Simply sitting on it is worse than not having a calling in the first place. Having a perspective towards your purpose will help you measure the time and effort you need to dedicate to it, while you are caught up in what you think you can't let go or skip. Take action on what truly matters. Especially for us, the Tibetans, we really need to work hard. We need to do, not just talking, not just making slogans. And what you need to do? Get good modern education, good traditional education. And then more importantly, you should learn to use your common sense. Learn to think by yourself. You don't need to follow everybody like that. Of course, there are certain things we need to learn from other people, certain philosophies or teachings we need to learn. But the most important thing is, you don't just let yourself completely brainwashed, right? After having listened to others, you should know what to digest and what to be thrown out. Otherwise, we live in a world where everybody tells others how to live. Everybody wants to make a photocopy of you, to make you a photocopy of themselves. The parents tell you, you do exactly like this, you follow this. The teachers tell you exactly do like this. The philosopher tell you, you do like this is the best, things like that. But you should think, you should be able to see how good it is, how useful it is, how nonsense it is. If it is nonsense, you have every right to reject it, but not without thinking. So find the truth for yourself. That is why one of the most important teachings the Buddha gave us, just like the goldsmith judges the gold by cutting, rubbing and putting under the fire, the purity of the gold is judged by burning, cutting, rubbing, right? Similarly, examine and judge my words and accept them, not because you respect me. So we have that freedom to do that judgment, analysis. We have the permission from Buddha himself. And His Holiness says the same thing. So therefore in life, whatever you're doing, you should be able to think and do things by yourself, not always. Whenever I said the same thing the other day, I want to repeat this. This is very important for us because I've seen many young people, they never try to do anything by themselves. Like if the light is not coming, the enemy is, oh, there's no light, just sit there. Nobody goes out, check and call somebody, what's happening, We don't do that. Even in our house, if something is there, you never try to fix it. At least make the attempt, what you can do, you see. And many of these things you can do. And if you are able to do that, there is a great joy. I did it, you see. So that's how you also become not only gain experience, that is how you experience, that's how you become scientist. Like scientist, who is a scientist? Scientist is not just sitting in the laboratory and calculating things like that. A real scientist is one who watches everything carefully. Like when a big drop of rain comes down, we take it for, rain come down, But the scientists, they will ask questions, how this is coming? From where it is coming? What makes rain? What makes hail, Then they are able to get the answers. Similarly, all of us have this potential to ask questions, whatever we are experiencing. Why this is happening? What are the causes? What are the conditions? What are the reasons? Then your life becomes so interesting. Your life will never become dull. Because there are 100,000 things to learn. The most leading top scientists in the world, they all say that what we know about the world is less than 10-15%. The nature out there is so huge, so big. So don't think that everything has been discovered and told, so we have nothing left. No. Even in the case of the teaching of the Buddha, we all agree that Buddha is an enlightened person, he has given the final teaching, but this doesn't mean that everybody will understand it in today's situation. So the same teaching of the Buddha should be explained in a way that it becomes relevant in today's world. I have been repeatedly telling many people that Buddhism must make sense in today's world. And that's why His Holiness is talking about secular ethics that makes sense in today's world. That becomes a living reality. When in your actual life, in your practice, there's nothing but talk about enlightenment, nirvana, Kyabsuche. To whom you are saying Kyabsuche? God. Whereas in Buddhism, we don't believe God, you see. So these things we should know very, very carefully, right? Then number 9, habit. I've been talking about meditation. Meditation means adopting and forming certain habit, right? So he says the same thing. habit becomes value. Habits become values. Shukla recommends cultivating good habits. No, it's not just Buddhist teaching, He says this based on his ordinary experience. Shukla recommends cultivating good habits. Cultivating good habits. Cultivating means systematically. It will not come in one day. Cultivating, like cultivating the field. Cultivating good habits to be able to house. Shukla recommends cultivating good habits to be able to house good values. And building good habits happen over time, not just one day, no push button enlightenment. Over time with practice. It's like building a muscle. Forget about spiritual qualities. If you want to build muscle, can you just get that big muscle just doing one time like this? Look, it's so big. Oh, yeah. You need to do it repeatedly, right? It's like building a muscle. You have to keep at it every day. Till one does not consistently work towards being just or kind or truthful or honest or compassionate, every single time he is challenged. One cannot expect to have attained that quality, right, at one go. But if you constantly do it, then you will see the benefit of it. Number 10, choose what you want to learn. I also said the same thing. You don't need to get all the information. You don't need to learn everything, right? I explained this to you. And he says the same thing. In the vastness of the infinite amount of knowledge available to us, it is easy to get lost and confused. What is it that you want to learn? Life is short. You don't have much time. So get those things which you really want. And in fact, the truth is, if you do one thing properly, you will be able to do many things properly. If you're not good in one thing, you will not be able to do many things also. This is kind of life's secret. This is life's secret. So that's why we are talking about meditation. Why we need to meditate? Instead of meditating means sitting. Generally speaking, of course, you can meditate while walking also, but generally speaking, meditation means sitting in a quiet place, in a place of solitude. So people might ask the question, why the hell is teaching? Today we live in a very busy materialistic world. Everybody should be running hither and thither to fulfill their profession, work and things like that. How can you afford to sit there doing meditation? The way to achieve things, the way to achieve success is running, pushing, talking to people over the phones. You like that. But it was few teachers like Buddha, he said, no, it's not by running you will achieve. It's by sitting and planning and thinking, getting organized. And we do use this word, get organized. Meditation means getting organized. Removing the clutters in the mind, planning. When you sit down and think calmly, we live in a confused world. Everything is in a clutter, you see. Complicated. So those complications, those confusions, you can remove only if you think properly, slowly, carefully, then you find the solution. You cannot find the solution just by running around, I have seen this many times, people don't plan, and then suddenly they rush. Oh, time is, If it is, the office is at 9, then you should know this is 9. And start moving from your house a little bit earlier so that you don't have to rush. But most of the people, they don't do it. And many people even die due to accident because, if you come late, you will be fired, you see. So we don't plan, you see. So it's important, first of all, to remove any confusion. You need to plan. This reminds me the encounter between Buddha and Angulimala. Angulimala was a murderer, very famous murderer. He promised to his wrong teacher that he will kill 1,000 people, right? 1,000 or 100? 1,000. Huh? 100? Are you sure? Sure, Siddhyantism says that. So anyway, 100. I think 100 probably. I also don't know. So around 100, I think. Because this is, the drawback, disadvantage if you meet a wrong teacher. The wrong teacher is supposed to have told that person, if you kill, sacrifice or kill 100 people, then you will achieve such spiritual realization. So he started killing. Every time he kills one person, he chops one finger and makes a ring out of it and wears on his neck. So he was looking for the last person. So because of certain miraculous power by the Buddha, on that day no one was visible around. And Buddha intentionally appeared himself, visible near Angulimala. Then Angulimala started chasing him. Buddha was walking slowly, but somehow he could not catch up with Buddha. Then he shouted, saying, "Don't you realize who is chasing you? The dreadful Angulimala, the murderer. How come you are not stopping?" Then the Buddha stopped, looked back, smiled and said, "It is not me who is not stopping, it is you who is not stopping." So the modern man, to me, forgive me to saying that, modern man is like Angulimala. Running, not being able to catch anything. Buddha was walking slowly, but still Angulimala was not able to catch him. So Buddha had to stop. Having no fear at all. He was shocked, surprised, who are you? What happened? Things like that. So recently somebody published a book, The Buddhist Process of Dealing with Terrorists, and tells that story. A small book written by one called Satish Kumar. It's a very interesting book. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, much of the modern diseases like loneliness, depression, low self-esteem, 100,000 things, indigestion, all this is because you are not settled, You are not settled. You are not at peace with yourself. In the Tibetan medicine is again based on Tibetan Buddhism. Lungti pekin sum yungsa di doja khena demo sum. La thug yore sigdwa. So therefore, the imbalances in your elements, in your body, is created by a disturbed mind, unhappy mind. One of my favorite citation that I recite is from the 7th Dalai Lama. He's written, very beautiful writer. So he says, "Sadang jungwa mangpo migu dan jensen, dangme pungpo nange lungtung du chone, sola hapshen jebe chongjen dan dokbe, seso chibur tabi nangsu du jowa." That means like this combination of heat, cold, wind, the 4, 5 elements that we have. It's like gathering of 5 ferocious animals, ready to pounce upon each other and kill each other. But they will not do that so long as they are of equal power. But nobody will dare to jump upon each other. The tiger, lion, all these big things. So we have these 4 elements, fire, earth, water, whatever. These 5 elements are antagonistic in nature. So when these 4, 5 elements that we have, when they are of equal power, then we call it health. I'm fine. I'm at ease. Disease. When there is no ease, that is called disease. Right? So that disruption, imbalance of elements happen because of disruption, imbalances of the wind energy, which is in turn very much related to the mental energy. So that's the thing. Anyway, I'm getting digressed. So in the vastness of the infinite amount of knowledge available to us, it is easy to get lost and confused. The key lesson here is to be mindful of choosing what you deeply feel will be of value to you. He says, other people, you have to choose, that's what he's saying. Other people might impose subjects and philosophies on you because it interests them. And while you must acknowledge their suggestion, he's not saying you don't listen. You must acknowledge their suggestion. But the wise thing to do is delve deeper into what rejoices your own heart and mind. Don't accept everything. So with a smile on his face, Shukla says, in the last days of their life, a lot of people, when they are in such a difficult situation, in the last days of their life, a lot of people can't speak, they can't walk, can't communicate with others with as much ease as they could earlier. So they turn inwards. See, when almost everything is failing, if you just go and, oh, you are dying, I'll give you $1,000, he'll show no interest. And that's after which we have been running throughout our life, money, right? But at that time, at that difficult situation, money is of no interest to them. I heard the story of one elderly Indian. Somebody tried to blackmail him. Then he said, look at my hair, look at my wrinkles, about to die. Still you think I will engage in such corruption? Of course there are people who do that, but some people are quite good enough to get their senses, you see. So then at that difficult moment, naturally they turn inwards. So if you're somebody who has been practicing these things for a long time, when you're alive and healthy, then you have all these resources ready to come out. But otherwise you turn inward, but there's nothing much. And start to remember the things that made their heart sing once. Even if an ordinary person, when you turn inside and when you remember that you, on such and such occasion, you did something good, then they feel happy. Things that they cared to learn more about over the course of their life, which enriches their days now. I recently read a book, I don't remember the name. It's a book based on interview of, dozens of richest people in India, asking what is it that they achieved, or what do they think they will miss at the end of their life. They all said they are happy not because they made money. And they all said, we will regret if I'm not able to do this kind of loving kindness to somebody, some friend, husband, wife, things like that. So at the end of the day, that is what they miss, right? And then also before I forget, I must tell you this thing. Why these values, positive actions that we are talking so much, is important in our this very life. Recently I was reading a book called On Collaboration, which is published one of the Harvard publications. So there somebody followed some people for a quite long time to find out about their progress, achievement, and so forth. So they first, followed these people when they were studying, almost finishing their university. And he says that they were all very good in their studies when they were in the last days of their university. Then after their university, they went to different places to do their job. Then this researcher, they followed them, how much success now they are achieving. Now this is very interesting. And he found that those people who continue to work honestly, truthfully, faithfully, sincerely, at the same time, keeping good connection with their families, with their friends, showing love, showing affection, these people rose higher and higher and very successful. Their success was very stable. The others who were just thinking about more money, more post, more, and forgetting, not talking so much about their family members and friends, communication with the rest of the society. Many of them landed in prison for 1 week, 10 days, whatever. And some of them completely, they divorced from their husband, wife, whatever, you see. This is based on the recent research, you see. So therefore, we are not saying that you do this so that you become a good Buddhist. Not just that. For our own peace and happiness and success. Right? Number 11, you don't break ties with people. Oh, sorry, I'll quickly read. You don't break ties with people, you break ties with the thought they produce. You don't break ties with people means normally, we stop talking to somebody, there's disagreement between husband and wife, brothers and sisters, things like that, But if you think carefully, you are not actually breaking the ties with the people, honestly speaking. You are breaking the ties with the thought they produce. Mostly it is, unfortunately, disagreement over certain ideology. You can seldom distance yourself from people you have truly loved, because that love is basically there, connected with in some way. However, in any relationship, along the way, certain mismatch of ideologies cause people to stop communicating. So he's saying this is stupid. Right? This never means you are no longer associated with that person, if you think carefully. There's the same person you loved once. Right? It simply means that you don't associate with the dominant thought that person brings with him, her, and to avoid more conflict, you move away. The divorce, Shukla affirms, is with the thought and never with the person. So to understand that is to unburden yourself from being bitter and revengeful. Right? Last number 12. 10% of what you earn should be kept aside for Dharma. So bring all your money to me. 10% of what you earn should be kept aside for Dharma. You give it to me and I will use it for Dharma, okay? Dharma means good practices. He says, Dharma, Shukla doesn't define as something religious or spiritual. Instead, he says it is associated more with doing good for others and feeling responsible about that. Don't use all your resource money just for eating, clothing, and not contributing anything to the goodness of the society. And especially in the Tibetan society, we need to have more people who have the resources, human resources, material resources. Right now many of us may not have, but we will have those things also slowly. Even a tiny percentage, that will help. Right? So he says it is associated more with doing good for others and feeling responsible about that. A simple calculation, according to him, is to keep 10% of your income for goodwill. Many people donate or do charitable acts towards the end of their life, which is good, but too late. Because now when you are dying, then you can't take anything. So it's not so great to give anything, but still good. But there are many who don't do that, then people fight over their wealth. Right? Many people donate or do charitable acts towards the end of their life because death is hand on them. In their suffering, they begin to empathize with others' suffering, so they donate. He says those who have the companionship of loved ones, the blessings of unknown strangers, and all-encompassing goodwill of people, by doing these things, if you have these things around you, companionship of loved ones, the blessings of unknown strangers, and all-encompassing goodwill of people, if you have these things around you when you are dying, when you are having difficulty, then you exit peacefully, gracefully. You are very happy. That is possible when you don't cling on to everything you have. As I said earlier, or I think yesterday, having property is not the problem. Having money is not the problem. But clinging onto that is the problem. Grasping onto it is the problem. Having body is not the problem. But misreading your body, grasping and clinging onto that body is the problem. That's possible when you don't cling on to everything you have and leave some part of it for others. Right? So I thought this is I hope this reading is not wasted of time, because this is actually happening in our real life. So I thought this will strike a note in our own thinking. So tomorrow I will run and finish the rest of the verses. That's not a big deal. Okay? Any burning questions? Yeah.
No questions. I just want to say this is the best class I have had in my life. Very, very, very good.
Oh, don't. I'll become proud, No, thank you. Because honestly speaking, I'm not here to advertise myself. I have only one small wish, and with that wish, the wish is to help others. That's why I made this program, not just me teaching, but I have other Geshes teaching, So that's what we all need to do. Small things make difference, Small things make difference. It is better to light a candle than curse the darkness. Right? Every one of us should do a small thing that will cheer up other people. Whatever you're doing, not everybody will like it. Someone sitting somewhere will say bad things about you. Don't worry. Don't worry. Do what you think is right in your own way, with honesty, sincerity. It will benefit people. So that's not just me, all of us. Like, I'm thankful to you, because if you are not here, to whom I should talk, I'll be sitting there in my own room, feeling depressed, nobody to talk to. But now you so many people, I can talk to. Thank you.